You gonna invite them all?
Breaking friends, it's never going to end. Breaking
I'll make them up.
breaking friends, let's do it again. Oh, Brett, he talks to people about stuff. He's the podcast man.
If I start with all right.
Welcome, Mara Powers, to Breaths with Friends, my 51 episode.
51.
And yay, woohoo! We did it. I got over the hump. So Mara Powers, you're an author, and you sent me some images of your Shadows of Atlantis.
Yeah.
And is that a series of books?
No, it's a series. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so can you kind of give us a little background on what happened, or what you kind of grew up, or how you got into writing? What led you up to this series of books, like prior to?
Oh gosh.
In a nutshell.
In a nutshell. So when I was a teenager, I started studying about metaphysics, because I was having like a crisis of religion, and so I was, I just wanted to find out all the different theologies, and then I discovered Hinduism, and then was really into the idea of reincarnation. And so then I started reading about books that were from channelers, and I found Edgar Cayce. And Edgar Cayce is he's a channeler that does past life, or he did. He was in the 30s. He was big in the 30s. So he did past life regressions in Atlantis, and described this amazing technological culture. And I loved the idea of Atlantis, about there being like a civilization that existed on the planet before us, that, because of course there's all those ancient megalithic monuments and ruins all over the world, and they're not really explained, not all of them.
Can you give us examples of those those statues that you're talking about?
Yeah, there's like well, there's the pyramids all over the world. There's the Mayan pyramids and the Egyptian pyramids, and then there's places in Turkey that, like, Göbekli Tepe, and there's Easter Island. There's and then there's there's a pyramid off of the coast of Japan, in the water, in the ocean, a big giant pyramid. And then there's
also.
Do
they have pictures of that?
No, I don't have any on me.
No, but we can. Is that been documented? Can I show a picture of that if I Google it or something?
The one in Japan is called Yonaguni, and then there's another one in, I believe it's oh gosh, I have to think about it. Okay. But there's some cool ones all over the world that are just not explained. They're not, there's ones that look like they're steps, but they're made for giants. And it's just this cool, like, international mystery. And I've just been studying it for decades, actually. And then I got all, I was into my writing. I was writing fiction, and then at one point in my life, I decided to join the research that I was doing with the fiction I was writing, because that way then I could portray Atlantis in the Edgar Cayce way, which was all about crystals and flying crafts and crazy technology. And so then I just started, I merged my two big interests in life, being fiction and studying these ancient mysteries.
Blending them together to create like a story within that context or that world.
Yeah.
The Disney version I was very disappointed with that.
You know, to be honest, and with all of my research, I've also looked into all the different like shows about Atlantis and the fiction ones. The Disney one actually is more well researched than almost all of them.
I'll give it a second look, because when I watched it, I had these, because I'm a big Atlantis fan as well, and I've had out of body experiences and
No way.
drugs and all this crazy stuff with Atlantis. We're gonna go down a really crazy rabbit hole
Right.
with you. You know, I did like you know, I studied a lot about it. I like the romanticism of it, the Galactus. You know, I had crazy. Anyways, we're gonna bring it back to that later. But the research you did on it is like, I mean, I'm not like a conspiracy theory guy like I used to be, maybe back when I was in my 20s.
Yeah,
But
we all in our 20s, you know.
yeah, like, you know, Edgar Casey, you know, Jekyll Island, you know, Illuminati, blah blah. But I do believe that there's you know, with the water samples and from the Sphinx, you know, the water degradation, that was built before, you know, they have watermarks for that.
Right.
I forget the scientist that did that, but that was, and it tells a story of like before ours, but much where we want to be going in a way. It's
Right.
like it's our future, but it's also our past. And
Right.
I feel like I'm kind of mumbling a little bit about it, but I mean, I got details. I would tell you the story of my dream, but I want to talk about more about what your research is about, like your experiences, like you know, with symbols, you know, dolphins,
Mhm.
you know, how they're mammals, all these different things that we might have turned into dolphins from that period, you know, because of the, you know, the big dome of glass ice was shattering. That was one concept. That's how it got destroyed, is because it was in a bubble of glass ice or ice castle. But it sounds like you went down the rabbit hole. Can you just let's go full Atlantis. Like, tell us about what you think it looked like, describe the vehicles, um, you know, the world that your characters are living in.
Well, even though the the dome of glass idea is really cool, um, that's something that I've been kind of struggling with, because I think of Atlantis as having been a civilization that was on the planet above water and never below water. And I try, even though I study esoteric stuff, I do also, I'm very interested in the secular research.
Yeah,
And
Atlantis, not to get you off, but Atlantis was an island, and or people, there were structures. It wasn't built. It's underwater now because the water covered it up. But
right,
it was, it didn't. They weren't like, you know, Aquaman down there. But you know, but this is the also when Atlantis entered the Akashic records or something like that. The the Library of Alexandria, which
mhm,
was destroyed by a group of people. I forget the exact political structure that did that. But those are also in the timeline of, you know, if we go backwards to Atlantis, these other things, probably there's theories that the Library of Alexandria held all of the records
record,
of the written word.
which brings us to Plato. But
Yeah.
I want to answer your question.
Okay.
But Plato is the one that, like, he got a lot of information about it from the Timaeus and Critias was the book that he wrote about with Atlantis in it, and it's a discussion between Socrates and a guy named Solon who was apparently in Egypt and looked in the Library of Alexandria and saw all this information about this ancient civilization. So that's that's the basis for a lot of the secular stuff about Atlantis. And even though if you read the Timaeus Critias, it's very philosophical because Plato was a philosopher. So he has a lot of really cool philosophies in there that I actually put into my books. But as far as my, my vision of it that I've created, and I don't say, oh, this is how it was, because a lot of people in the whole Atlantis world are like, this is how it was, and you can't say for sure how it was, so that's why I say it's fiction what I'm doing. But
yeah, there's a fine line with I'm sorry, I'm gonna interject because I keep on getting all these questions I want to ask you real quick because we can keep on going. Anyways, like there's a fine line between that knowledge and thinking that you're and I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about people along the way that would later become QAnon or whoever, people that I met throughout my life. But the one that is a weird narcissistic thing that comes through it, like because you are thinking that you were given the knowledge of all and nobody else, and it's your job to the world to bring it to them, and you are the vessel to carry that information. But there's this weird like fine line because I've with that, and also just a good story and actual interesting, what the root of what we were talking about when we first asked those questions about Atlantis and talked about those ideas and how it was romantic and cool, and it's there's something chemical about it. It feels like we were there before. But I digress. I just want to what do you think about that?
That's not a digression. That's like part of it. That's all part of it. Yeah, because it's a rabbit hole, which is a term you hear from the QAnon people a lot. I've gone down the rabbit hole. I've done my research,
Well, they're in the bunker and they're on the computer and they're doing all this stuff. It's like, you know what? There's an outside world here,
Yeah.
Not everything you're finding it. Tom Hanks and Hillary Clinton do not eat babies. If they ate babies, they would have been they would have been put in jail and the key thrown away a long time ago.
Yeah.
Nobody, I don't care who you are. I mean, Epstein, whatever. Anyways, we go through these. I want to stay on topic. But like Atlantis. Let's stay on topic. Okay.
Yeah. So, where do we? Okay, there was a couple of questions that are not answered. Either, so there's like how I see Atlantis, or should we go with that, or what do you want?
Yeah, I think that's good. Or the
about the being the chosen one, and I'm not the chosen one when it comes to knowing about Atlantis. I'll just say that. And I used to be very into that. Like I had this when I was really young. I had this kind of ego around it all, and like I was like, oh, I know things, and
third eye, pineal gland.
And now I'm almost 50, so I've got some wisdom.
Yeah.
And I've been through a lot, so my journey has been pretty cool. My writing journey in it all, and I definitely have taken a different path than most people in life. But for the most part, my main interest has been Atlantis, and I'm obsessed with it. I love it. I just think, and maybe I was there. I probably was. I can't say that I remember any lives from it, but maybe I do. Maybe that's what this book is about. Maybe because there's a character in it that's based on me, and I usually kind of keep it hush hush, like who's based on me in it, and I try and get my friends that read it to guess, because it's kind of hard to guess unless you really know me. But his perspective, and that's the thing, is that it's a guy and I'm a woman, and his perspective is more like he's the observer of a lot of things, and he is kind of a chosen one, but he doesn't really care about being a chosen one. Like he's real nonchalant about it, and he's more of an observer in life, and he's kind of interpreting things, but it's all written from a third person omniscient, but he's the one that it kind of goes around. And so I get to put my ego into that character. And it doesn't have to be in me in my real life.
Yeah.
So, and that's the good thing about being kind of being a writer and being sort of a little crazy like that, is that I can actually express it through my writing, and I don't have to express it in my life. And I've come a long way with that. I've been through a lot of, psychoanalysis, and
Oh, really?
then the other thing is that I put a lot of my research about psychoanalysis into my books, because it's called Shadows of Atlantis, and it's a discussion about mass mental illness, which is kind of funny because when you bring up the whole QAnon thing, that's in the books. It's this discussion about how the society fell. So I get to create this utopia that is like, it's got this great political structure. It's got really awesome technology. It's beautifully built, and their social structure is very it's a lot like our culture. It's very, the United States, I mean, it's very free will based, and but there's a lot of restrictions, because free will has caused some problems. It causes people to, like, maybe exploit other people, and so then that brings in these regulations that need to happen. And but the technology is run by this crystal grid, which is a thing that Edgar Casey talks about. It's the great crystal, and it's it is the source of all of their power, and that crystal is connected to all these crystal nodes around the cities, and the nodes are like obelisks that are made out of quartz, and a few times a day the nodes start to resonate, and they create the song, and it's like the call to prayer, like from the Islam religion. So that's my kind of ode to Islam. And so the citizens go to the nodes, and they do their mind light rituals, which is to donate their mind light to the crystal grid, and that feeds the grid, that gives the grid power.
Wow.
And so it's all based on this participation that needs to happen from the people. And so then I'm talking about this upper class that doesn't participate because they don't feel like they need to, because the citizens are doing it.
Mm.
And so they're just kind of like, oh, well, they feel bad that they're not participating, but they're, it's kind of like voting, it's like you want to participate in the voting.
Yeah, it's your duty, your civic duty.
Yeah. And so then in this age that I'm talking about in Atlantis, there's people are starting, the grid is getting corrupted by people separating from it, and then they're putting their negative hopes and their feelings of, like, I'm angry at so and so, I'm jealous of so and so, and all these terrible feelings into the grid, and then that's causing it to be polluted. And so there's a psychic disease that's spreading around in Atlantis, and it's coming from their source of power.
Mm-hmm.
So it's this weird, like mind-bending, disease that's happening.
Yeah, it's the internet. It's a multiple, definitely multiple dimensions existing. I mean, I completely believe in multiple dimensions for sure. Like, it's happening at the same time. There's, I think it was Deepak Chopra one time kind of like had a good quote about like how the body of the human is like the radio, is what the antenna, the soul of the antenna is what the antenna is to the radio.
Right.
The body is of the soul.
Right.
So we're like a transistor in a way. and like all probably living creatures, we we give off energy, we receive energy. Sometimes we don't want to receive that energy, and
Right.
you kind of have to learn. And there's like, as we're having this conversation, there's probably another conversation that we're both telling each other, like physically and with our eye contact or our hand gestures and stuff like that, besides the vocal thing, with the human conversation. So maybe that in a weird way reflects into how other people react to each other as well in public, especially coming out of this pandemic, where if you didn't learn to be in the now as much as possible during this year and 14-15 months of craziness. If did you see people reacted to the pandemic in a different ways? Did you lose any friends?
Yeah. Well, my friends that like kind of, I think like went off the deep end, that sort of fell into this weird narrative. I'm still friends with them. I just don't talk to them about that stuff, I mean, like my close friends that did that. But for the most part, I just kind of let people be how they are. And
you can't do anything but let people. You can't control anybody, nor would you want the responsibility of the outcome of that.
Yeah, because I don't want them to feel pushed away or canceled. Some of them are saying that they've been canceled.
Hey, we live in a TikTok world, man. Canceling's fun. Have you ever unfriended somebody on Facebook? It's the most amazing thing in the world.
Yeah,
it feels so good to unfriend. You know what? No.
Like, I don't like this person. Unfriend. Yes. So much better.
Yeah, that's I think Facebook's best feature, actually.
Yeah, the blocking is good too. I like the blocking.
Yeah, that happens. So where do you see, like, okay, so I'm gonna check the time here because I didn't start the clock correctly. What do you think how this, in a sort of like, it feels like we're sort of living in Atlantis right now. With the way you're describing that story and the mass consciousness is happening on the planet right now, it's like we're getting to there somehow, some weird, funky, materialistic way. We're kind of getting to this Jetsons kind of world. Virgin Atlantic just did their first space orbit, or went into space real quick. Did you watch that last night? Was that cool?
I love that ship. It's awesome.
The ship was awesome, dude. The white and the silver. Yeah. It looked like Star Wars. I was like, fuck yeah, man. I think that isn't Bezos. I think Bezos looks like a giant penis, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm not like. I mean, I'm a Star Trek person. I grew up with.
Okay.
I'm like hoping that they meet the Vulcans up there and we get to join the Federation finally.
Well, they won't let us in the Federation. No way. They're like, get on. Give it 20 more years.
Yeah, we're okay. So that's an interesting question that you're posing there, and a while ago, like part of my work is philosophy. So this is why I'm self-published, because my work just kind of falls into this. It's fiction, but it's not trade fiction. It's philosophical and it's intense. It's like metaphysical fiction. And so I figured out, like, in some of my readings with the esoteric people, is the 2012 was coming, and we were going to go through the great shift in consciousness,
the harmonic convergence.
Yeah. They were saying that the United States is living out the karma of Atlantis, and that was a civilization that had reached a pinnacle of technology, but then went mad and separated from nature, and nature then destroyed it, which is what we're doing. It's exactly what we're doing. Yeah. We're separating from nature, and we're basically destroying our own habitat. So that's this story. I get to say that in this. I get to show what can happen when humans neglect our home, you know. It's like neglecting our bodies, and we have to take care of our home.
Yeah, it's as above is below,
Right.
macro, micro. It's
And that's another genre of my book is cli-fi, which is climate fiction. Like climate, you know. I was reading about like it's a new genre that's starting to get big, and it's, you know, it's about climate change.
yeah, there's a guy that wrote a book, like I forget it was probably like 3 or 4 years ago. Every week seems like a year right now, so it's kind of hard to it's I think he was on like Howard Stern or something like that, but he talked about this book, or there's some interview he gave as like an audio thing, but he in the book it's like New York is underwater, and they've now built like bridges between the buildings and underwater submarines to go, and they didn't leave the city. They acclimated to it. They like, no, we're just gonna put struts and stuff like that and just make sure this stuff is water, and all the steel beams are in place, and it goes completely like futuristic. I love that visionary sort of 10 years from now or 20 years from now in the future, what that looks like if the climate stuff, but he did a whole thing. I forget, God, man, I wish, but it wasn't, the concept was really nice. So that's, yeah, really good to hear.
Of the book.
What's that?
Do you remember the name of the book?
No, I
You
don't.
gotta put the name.
I wish.
So you know who else wrote cli-fi is George Martin, Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah.
Because it talks about the White Walkers and the winter is coming. That's about climate change. So
I really wish they wouldn't have fucked up this series, man. That last one, that last like 5 episodes. It's like a show has never killed me as much as that show. I was like so invested.
I know. I'm not gonna be so like mad at it. Like
I'm mad at it. And that wasted a lot of time. I'm mad that they went off and did a shitty Star Wars movie after that. That's why they rushed that project out.
Well, those sort of things kind of like hit me a little bit because I write fiction, and I think, oh God, what if my fans get really mad at me because of something that I do? And I'm like, I all this.
Oh yeah, you can't have that.
For I don't know.
What are you drinking?
I've got this Voodoo Ranger. I love Voodoo Ranger.
Yeah, that's a kick in the pants, 9%.
Well, this one is the 7%. I like to.
You gotta go 9%.
Sometimes, most of the time. No, I drink high ABV, but just because you only need like 1 or 2.
Yeah. Where like this is like Stella is like a it's a good beer. It's a solid beer, but it's a light beer.
Yeah.
But yeah, they go down really easy, really easy. But Blue Ranger is really good. I think that's an Oregon-based beer company. When I was in Salem, that's what I was drinking. Really, you can check out older podcasts. It's all over the place.
So I'm in Fort Collins, Colorado, which
You're
is
in Colorado. Tell us about Colorado right now. What's going on?
It's hot right now, but it's been fairly like temperate. There's been a lot of rain. There's been a lot of precipitation this year so far, but I've been staying on my mom's ranch, which is north of Fort Collins. And this weekend I got an Airbnb so I could be in town. And so that's where I am. I'm just in the town. It's such a cute town, but this is the home of New Belgium Brewery and Odell's. So like, this is where Fat Tire is, and I can look down on the street. Look at that cute town.
Oh, it's like a little downtown USA, Main Street America.
Yeah.
Popcorn, apple pie, blue jeans.
Yeah.
Are people nice there?
Oh yeah, very nice. Like you can walk around and just pretty much talk to anybody if you want. It's very white. it's like there's not. If you see a black person here, you're like,
whoa! There's a celebrity in town.
Yeah. Oh my god! So
well,
that's pretty.
Yeah. Is it pretty? Is that maybe? Is it liberal?
Yeah, it's fairly
Are
liberal.
you guys driving around there with in trucks with Trump flags and shit like that around there?
There's some, like there's some of that, but actually, Colorado is a really good example of a swing state that has both Republicans and Democrats, and then a lot of independents like me, and who just live together. But there's more Democrats, I think, because we have all Democratic
Marijuana.
Congress now. We've got, except for the county where Lauren Boebert is. And
Wait, are mushrooms legal there now?
I don't know. I don't really pay attention to that.
But weed's legal. Weed's is in Colorado the first state to do it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's my pot.
It's just normal here now.
Mm.
It's
Can you smoke down the street with it? Can you smoke down the street with a joint?
I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I'd probably. I just I spend most of my time up north in the rural lands, which is actually I have a number of neighbors that I can just drive around and visit, all within like 5 minutes of my mom's house, which is like way up it's like in the boonies.
Are there like lakes and stuff like that? I mean, I'm acting like I don't know anything about Colorado, but I really don't know anything about Colorado. But I mean, is it mountainous, right? It's a giant mountain town. Mork and Mindy used to live there.
I'm on the Front Range, which is that's where all the big cities are. It's where the Eastern Plains meet the mountains. So it's like the fold of where the plains, go up. And so we're kind of right at the foothills. But we're in the plains, so it's high desert. And Fort Collins is a really cute town. It's really kind of my favorite now. It reminds me of how Boulder used to be in the 80s and 90s. Boulder's like sort of bougie.
It's bougie?
Yeah. There's a lot of, it's pretty expensive, and there's a lot of really nice houses there. And
I think I have a thought, like sometimes like because it's so like in LA, like Venice Beach is like trying to become bougie, but there's so many homeless that I think that maybe levels the playing field. Like you pay like $2,000 for a studio apartment there, but somebody's shitting outside your door, but so you get the perfect lifestyle with what you don't want to see, but you'll put up with it because of how great it is. So maybe there's a leveling, maybe alchemy of it. Do you have homeless there? Is it too cold for homeless?
Most of our homeless people are like weed tourists. Yeah, I mean, they come here and like you see like little groups of them sitting on the ground, and you kind of want to talk to them because they're interesting. You're like, where have you been? Where are you going? And
that's actually a really good name for a book, is The Weed Tourist.
The weed tourist. Yeah, I mean, you don't see like real crazy people that often. There is a mission that's like right down the street from where I am. I'm right next to the Old Town Square, which is, I wish I could show it to you. It's really beautiful. Maybe we can post a picture of it. But
yeah, Old Town Square, we'll post a picture of it.
The myth is that Walt Disney got inspired by Main Street USA from Fort Collins. But I think every town says that. So I don't know.
I like Santa Cruz a lot. Santa Cruz is a really cute downtown. I love Santa Cruz. It's just so small there. It's just so small, but it's a cute town. The little downtown makes you feel like, with the leaves, the lighting on the sidewalk, and everything, the breeze.
It's like that here. It's gorgeous. I love this town. I went to high school here. I'm trying to debate whether to go to my high school reunion.
Do it. You gotta go. You got it. Was it which one is it?
30.
Dirty 30.
30.
You gotta do it. You gotta do it. It'll be the funniest shit you'll ever see in your entire life. I went to Del Mar High School, and in San Jose, California, and we had our like God, I don't know, I feel like 40th or something like that. I'm 52, so whatever it was, maybe it was the 30th. I guess I don't know, but that shit was fucking funny. You gotta go.
Yeah, well, the thing is that I want to go traveling soon, and I don't want to, because with the Delta variant going around, I don't want to risk.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you a question. We can cut it from the video if you want. Did you get vaccinated?
Yeah,
Okay.
I did.
Which one?
Yeah,
Did
but
you...
people are still getting it, and there's a lot of people that are anti-vaxxers around. Colorado is 60 to 70% vaccinated at this point, and the Delta variant is here.
Oregon,
So,
I think Oregon is 70%.
yeah.
There's that last 30%, man. They're really holding out, aren't they? It's so fucking funny. It's so funny.
They think it's poison.
Well, it's all their excuses in the world. But you know what? If they don't want to do it, they don't want to do it. That's their prerogative. It's their body to do anything they want. But I got it. I feel like, I'm not gonna. There's no. It's like talking to a Trumper. There's no way you're gonna change their mind. There's no reason to argue with them because it's not gonna. It never leads to anywhere, and you're just wasting each other's time. So it's like cool. It's good. It's all good.
Study history. They people don't study history. It's interesting because in history, whenever any new technology or any new vaccine has ever come up, there's always been this uproar of oh, it's causing this and it's causing that, and and
magnets on the side of the arms. That thing was funny. The magnet thing. Did you watch the people putting the magnets on the side of their arm when they get their shot?
Yeah.
Stupid. So as history within that rationale, based on just let's propel into the future. Let's go to the future and see what does it look like in like a year from now, 2 years from now, based on what we know from these last few years. What do you think it looks like? Even up to now, like Branson going into space and Bezos going into space, and with just coming out of this pandemic, and people are, just learning how to deal with each other over again.
I can tell you what I hope is going to happen. I would like for it to be like the Roaring 20s, because they came out of the Spanish flu pandemic and then they went into this like great golden era.
Yeah, I always liked the 20s. The 20s was a great time.
Yeah, it would be nice.
I had a past life in the 20s for sure. I definitely was there for that.
Yeah, yeah.
I think fashion is going to look really great. Like, because we got this sort of retro, retro future, almost Art Deco. Always like Art Deco, and also like with the machines of the 50s, like the Chevrolets with the big Cadillac fronts, and stuff like that. We're getting into where we can create all these different shapes. I think the future is going to be completely insane looking. Color palette, just even people augmenting their bodies with different various armatures, like robotic parts. Even if they don't need to have an arm amputated, they'll probably get a bionic arm just to have one. Oh yeah, I love to do this. I do.
I want a bionic arm so bad. So I can pick up a car and be like, throw it.
Picking up the parking meter little trolley thing, the little cart, little parking maid thing, the little car, and throwing it across the street.
Get out of the car and be like, ticket.
Oh, did you ever see the movie Brazil?
No.
You got to check that movie out. Brazil. Yeah. Terry Gilliam.
I got into this whole phase where I was studying film, and I never watched it. It's one of the greats from a filmmaker's perspective.
Yeah, it's a really great visual story. It's just the, alternate future, the dystopia, but like they capture it really good. They don't do a lot of CGI, and in fact, no CGI, but all puppetry and stuff like that, and miniatures. It's Terry Gilliam. He did Monty Python, so it's the same sort of ilk
Yeah, I need to watch it.
Yeah, it's
I,
good.
I don't know. I've been kind of on a don't watch TV because I spent a lot of 2020 just watching shows. So
Oh,
now
really?
I'm just like I'm just gonna write. I'm just gonna be in my imagination. I want to go travel. I want to. So I've been kind of planning my next adventure. Which actually, what's cool about that is that since I'm not watching shows, I've been writing a lot more. So now I'm writing the series of novellas that are a prequel to my series that is already out. I released book 2 in December, and then I went back to before the stories, and I'm putting out these novellas, and I'm really excited about it because it's fun. I've been enjoying writing them.
Has anybody been approaching you to make these into movies at all, or a series of Netflix things at all, or that can you talk about stuff like that?
Well, I write very cinematographically, and so most of the people that read my work think of it as a movie or a series. Um, the thing about my stuff is that number one, I'm self-published, so um, like I said, I'm not a trade series because trade series have a bit of a formula and they're simple to translate. Um, my work, and also because I'm self-published, I'm not really a marketing person, so I've been not pushing my books as much as I've been creating them, which
Yeah,
is the problem that a lot of self-published authors come to.
yeah.
But over the years, I'm really, really good at social media. So I've been developing a following slowly, and um, and then I also am good at like networking and collecting people, and so I have a small fan base, but I don't have a huge fan base just yet. But I've been implementing these new strategies.
Oh,
So
is
we'll
that? Would
see.
you like to see? Would you like to see that become a movie series, or if what? How would you if you were to have that proposed into like a media situation? Like, what's the best way to distribute that as a content like show? Like, what's the best? How do you see it rolling out? Like what would be your druthers? Like, do you want like
I think a series.
a series?
Like I mean, ultimately Game of Thrones is kind of like HBO. It's epic. It's extremely epic, which means high budget. And the producers in Hollywood, they think of numbers. They don't think as much of the content as they do
Well,
numbers.
Atlantis is a brand though at this point. I mean, it's something that if somebody could do it, like I've always wanted to make a movie about Atlantis based on my own experiences that are very visual, but there's no story. It's all visual. So it'd be more like there's no characters involved except for what
It's like
it's abstract, but very, very like
yeah.
you know. Uh but um I was calling that one Postcards from Atlantis. And
Nice.
then so when I saw Shadows from Atlantis, I was like, oh, I gotta talk to this chick really quick. I'm gonna see. I'm gonna mine her. Let's have a meeting of the minds. But so a series of 3 feature films, or a series of 6 to 7 1 hours.
Seasons of it. Yeah, I think seasons. If I had my druthers, but
Well,
see,
you have your druthers. Let's give you your druthers. She needs her druthers.
I've been learning screenwriting. I, you know,
Fun.
in the screenwriting world, authors are known to be uh, practicing long form. So I would go to like screenwriting networking things and in LA because I lived in LA for a long time, and I was living. My roommate was a film editor. He's like a veteran film editor. He's amazing. Like that did all these cool shows, and he would bring me to all these like different networking things, and then I would go to the writing things, and they would all be like, "Oh my God, how can you write a book?" And so now that I'm like, that I've kind of switched into screenwriting a little more, it's like writing an outline. It's so easy compared to writing a book.
Oh, completely. It's completely.
But
It's all about the structure is hard though. Where a book, I can imagine that you can wander around, but like with a screenplay, for the few that I've written, I have a dark comedy called Return to Sender. The only reason why I have this podcast is to make my movie Return to Sender dark comedy. With but it's super funny. But the armature that you get in, you have to lace it. It's like putting beef jerky on a grill. You're layering this stuff on this thing to turn and spin, and then it kind of turns. But the architecture of it's strong. I would maybe strong, but tighter than say like where you can maybe put like, I don't know how many pages are your books, like 350, 600.
They're different. The book 1 is like 250, and book 2 is 400,000. And then my novellas are like,
wait, 400,000?
Yeah.
400,000
words.
Oh, okay.
Oh, sorry. I went from
I thought you meant pages.
word count lately because I'm writing novellas, because the novellas are like supposed to be around 20,000 words. And so my first one's like 25,000, and second one is turning out to be about 30,000. And so then I'm going to write a third one, and maybe it'll be longer, and then I'll put them all together in one book and print it, because right now the novellas are only ebooks.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of my readers are more into having printed books.
You want something in your hands, you want something tactile. We live on a screen world, screen to screen to screen to screen. We need, we're screen jumpers, so that's there is still that little part of people that remembers, opening a book, even though I've only read one or two books my entire life. But people can deal with my hands. People want things, it's a tactile world, it's a material world, so they want that.
Yeah. But cool. There is a huge audience of people who just read ebooks, and I like reading ebooks. I'm really into. I love it because I can just bring my Kindle with me, and then I have any book I want to read. It's just there, right at my fingertips, or on my phone. I can just do it on my phone. But I have like certain books, like for instance, okay, here's another part of my my psychological and philosophy. I've been reading stuff like this. I know it's backwards on there, but it's King, Warrior, Magician, Lover, and it's about the archetypes of the male, the masculine, the mature masculine. And the reason why I'm reading this is because I'm like, my best characters in my books are men. I grew up with brothers, and really, like, my best friends are men. I'm just a big, like, I'm kind of a guy chick, and I've been enjoying developing these characters who are like, learning how to be, mature masculine character. Mm-hmm. So I read stuff like this, and then like, conquering your shadow and bringing your psychology out of the shadows and into the light. And I've been listening to podcasts lately, and that's been cool.
What's your what podcast you've been watching?
Okay, there's a couple of political ones that I do. There's Heather Cox Richardson. Do you know about her? She's a Harvard professor of political history. And so she does this podcast that's about all the current events that are happening, and then correlating them to the past of, like what our country has been through and how we've gone through similar things through our history of our country. And so that's been cool. And then I like Rachel Maddow. I listen to her podcasts.
She's funny.
'Cause-
I'm good with Rachel for about 10 minutes.
Yeah,
Then she goes a little off the. She goes off the rails real quick. Like
Yeah.
it's like okay, we get it.
funny.
Yeah.
I love her, like her
She's great.
drag and all that. But so then,
Long
the
neck.
other
She got a long neck.
ones that are fun are was the podcast. You don't have to listen. You don't have to look at her neck. But
I like her neck. I like long necks. I like her neck.
the other ones that are fun are that I've been researching lately have been there's these ones about psychology, and one of them is like the is about delusions, and that's been really fascinating. I've been doing painting. I've been doing paint by numbers, and I really
Nice. You've been painting? Let's see. You got one?
what's that?
You got a painting that you've done?
Two, and I don't have a current picture, but I'll send you one if you want to put it up.
Okay.
But it's I've been painting these scenes that I want to be in. So I'm I've got this picture of Venice with like on the canal, not Venice Beach, but Venice, and so like in the canal with these boats, and it's this night scene and these beautiful shadows, and so I'm sitting there going painting each blob, and I'm going, oh, I want to be there. This is where I'm going to be. It's manifesting,
Yeah. It's
And
your vision board.
And then I'm listening to these podcasts at the same time. And one of them is, let's see if I can find it here. It's it's so fascinating. It's a BBC one, and it's about delusions, and it talks about all these different like delusions that are recorded from, and a lot of them are from the Victorian era, or the Charles Dickens time, and the French Revolution, and then also interviews with people who have had these delusions, and it's really unsettling, and it's like I can see how people get into these delusions. And
can you be specific about what delusions they might be getting into?
I think, well, it's good to know about them.
Delusions of grandeur?
There's one that's like about, thinking that everybody is a double, like everybody in your, what's that?
Doppelganger?
Yeah, like you think that your husband or your like wife or something is not that person anymore, and somebody else has replaced them.
That happens. That's a real thing.
Oh yeah.
I've seen that happen to many people.
There's a lot of these of the cool of weird stories like that. And then the other one is called Therapists Uncensored, and it's about these various therapists that talk about like all the different types of therapy, and the things that are wrong, that could be wrong, and how you can deal with them, and so that's cool. I mean,
Yeah,
it helps my self-betterment, and
that's a lot of mental gymnastics.
well, that also helps with my writing, because I'm writing about the madness in Atlantis, and so I'm trying to grasp onto these various delusions so that I can write about them.
Maybe that'll be the name. Maybe The Madness of Atlantis would be a good title for that book. Maybe
The madness.
of Atlantis.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna have to wrap it up here soon, because I know we need to edit out that first like 10 minutes of us getting everything organized. But
Yeah.
in this time, can you remind everybody like where they can find your work and how they can find you on Instagram or Facebook, or however you want to get people to hold of you, or your book, or give your plug? The floor is yours.
Yeah, everything is Shadows of Atlantis. So it's Shadows of Atlantis on Facebook, Shadows of Atlantis on Instagram. It's on Twitter, but I'm not doing Twitter very much. And then my website, shadowsofatlantis.com. which is where if you go there, then there's like things that you can click on that, you know, the buy buttons for all over the world. There's like India, there's India, there's Australia, there's UK, there's, you know.
Is your book translated into Australian?
Yeah, I need to. Yeah, I've got my Australian language coach that I've been working with, and
I feel like maybe the China, Japan can do like as an anime.
yeah, that's been suggested before. So, you know,
Let's see what form it takes.
my job is to write it, so
Yeah.
I'm just gonna keep writing.
Well, I'm gonna take a look at the books. I'm gonna maybe break my 2 books I've read my entire life. I know one of them was E.T. Even though I saw the movie, I read the book. I was a real big E.T. fan.
It's an audio.
No, I read it as a child like 3 times. I was like the one book I kept on reading. I felt like I was E.T.
Stop reading E.T.
That was my nickname. I used to do my first job was sweeping the parking lot of an arcade, and I had the ET hat on and the ET shirt on, and so I walked in the door, and the guys, they're all dicks, they're all assholes. All the guys that work there, they're all video game head, like, or, 1990 probably, or 1985 or something like that. They're all, hey dude, look, that's ET. Yeah, ET. So that made me quit that job, but I couldn't handle it. Everyone's like, ET. Anyways, well, we're gonna have to do this again. I mean, we covered a lot of space, and we got into nice little off subjects, and I really enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah, me too. I can get back to work.
Yeah. Well, I look forward. Let's maybe do another episode in the future. We'll check back with each other.
I'll be traveling here hopefully in the next 1 month, but I'll be traveling for a while. Hopefully.
Where are you gonna go?
I'm gonna start out. I'm gonna start like in France or something. Probably gonna go to France. So we'll see.
Well, have
France.
fun. And thanks for being on the show. More and happy trails. Have fun in France, and be well. And let's talk in the future.
Okay. Thanks, Brad.
There's so much more I want to talk to you about, but
I know.
we'll end it on a high note. We'll get back. Yeah. We'll do another one after your travels, maybe.
Shadowsofatlantis.com.
Perfect. Yay. Thank you so much, Mara Powers.
Yes.
Shadows from Atlantis. Check her out. All right. Thanks for being on the show. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.
Good times.
Yay.
He talks to people about stuff. He's the podcast man.
If I start with all right.
Yo.